Nick, as a professor, do you use AI? The immediate answer is yes, of course I use AI. Hello, everybody. This is Nick Tatiero, Professor of Information Technologies and Computer Science, Lakeland Community College. The deeper question is, do I allow my students to use AI? And then, people, you're a hypocrite, Nick. You use AI, but you're not going to allow your students to AI? We'll delve into that in a bit. Okay, understand. AI has been around, or generative AI has been around for many years. It is that mining of data, of taking these large chunks of data that we have been gathering for a long time. We just haven't been calling it AI, or it hasn't been dumped into our laps. It wasn't this shock value that, oh my God. Now, let's break down some things. In the late 90s, Google came out with a new search engine. There were many search engines before Google, and there was many search engines during Google. Those search engines just took the approach of going to websites and looking and doing word counts on those websites to say, okay, this is the most popular word in this particular website, and then do their sort order, their search order by the most popular words or things like that. It's very primitive. Google took a different approach. Google created these things called spiders, which were basically programs that went out to different web pages and looked at the links. It looked at the links that pointed to a web page, and it looked to the links from a web page going out, and it began to organize and sort priority based upon those links. They're called spiders. That was one of the earlier forms of AI that we were pretty much happy with, but we didn't call it AI, and we were fine with it. Along comes YouTube. If you're watching this video, you're using YouTube, but YouTube, we begin to use this phrase, the algorithms. If you read any kind of YouTube books or you go on the internet, they talk about the algorithms. And fundamentally, when I or anybody uploads a video to YouTube, the YouTube algorithms go and they look at the video's name, they look at the description, they look at the thumbnail, they look at every single frame in that video, and they create data points. So when somebody goes searching for a video, they will compare that with those particular data points. That's a form of AI. But along comes this generative AI where we begin to ask questions to the computer to say, can you tell me X? And it feeds back to us, right? That seems a little scary, right? Is this technology going to replace my job? That's a different discussion. So I think, personal opinion, one of the issues that people have with AI, and maybe this negative feeling, the beginning of the negative feeling with AI, is that we're calling it some form of intelligence. It's been around for a while, and it's going to stay. Regardless of what you may hear. Is there an AI bubble? Are they going to put restrictions on AI? It's the more data we collect, this lack of a better word, the smarter the artificial intelligence, or the better hits. We can call that the better hits that the AI intelligence is going to provide back. Right. So let's go up to my screen and let's do a little bit of a deep dive in my expectations for my students for the use of AI. Okay, in this video, I'm going to explore my use of AI where actually I encourage students to use AI. In this particular course, this is my Security Penetration Investigation Studies, also sometimes referred to as ethical hacking. There are some times where in assignments, I require students to produce code. If you saw, or if you're going to watch my other AI video where I talk about programming logic, in that course, we are definitely teaching people how to produce code. That's not what's being taught in this particular class. This is a security penetration investigation study, aka ethical hacking. We want students to learn how to use tools to perform ethical hacking, auditing, you name it. So it's not really a course designed around creating programs. It's a course designed around using the tools. AI becomes one of those tools. So let's go to my AI policy in this course. And this policy is the least restrictive. It basically says, yes, Go and use AI. If you need to use it, use it. You'll also notice I say, I encourage you, instructor, encourage the students to explore and investigate all technologies as they become mature. But you have to understand, it's essential to adhere to the following guidelines. There still needs to be guidelines. Now, a typical example in this would be, let's say I want the students to write a code to scrape a web page. Scraping a web page is a common technique used in ethical hacking. Scraping a web page would say, find me all the email addresses on that web page. Find me all the links on that web page. Find me all the usernames on that web page. I'm not so much concerned about, can you write the code? I'm more concerned with, give me the final outcome. I need all the, as an ethical hacker, I need all the email addresses off that web page. So actually there's a couple ways I can do that. I can go to a web page and just scan it and look for every single email by hand. And people do that, but the web pages are getting bigger and bigger. What if I have to do not just the web page, but the entire web server? That can become arduous. So I do a process called automation, where I write code that's going to go through the web page and pull what I'm scraping for. In this example, I'll say I'm scraping for email addresses. So in that particular case, here's the situation. Do I have the students go back and relearn or polish up their Python, polish up their programming language to write the code? Or what's more important is the scraping of those email addresses. So here I would encourage students, go to AI and ask the AI to write you a code that's going to scrape a web page. Now we're saving time, because what we're trying to do is one thing. We're not trying to learn the programming aspect of it. We're trying to scrape pages. But it always comes with a but here. I expect the students to adhere to all policies and guidelines associated with. Don't assume that work is yours, right? That's big. Don't tell me you wrote that code, right? I'm allowing you to use AI, but don't tell me you wrote that code. Now, if you did write the code, wonderful. Let me know that. But you can see in these different kind of, I'll call them little different exceptions here. The AI tool must be used for brainstorming, outlining, improving grammar, clarity, providing alternative perspectives and topics. Originality. While the AI can be a valuable tool, your work must reflect your own understanding and mastery. Again, I'm not teaching you how to program here. I'm looking for an outcome. Why? Because if you can learn how to do an outcome, let's say something as scraping a web page for email addresses, can you scrape their web pages for content? Can you use this in other situations? Attribution and transparency. That's important. That's still important. Don't tell me it's your work if it's not your work. If you use AI for any part of the assignment, you must clearly indicate which parts you used it. Let me know. Right? Maybe, and then we do this a lot in the ethical hacking world, in the cybersecurity world, we share information with each other. How did you do that? Oh, here's my code to do that. Any other critical evaluations, etc. What is prohibited? Again, yes, but using AI to bypass the learning process or engage in some kind of plagiarism. If we were dealing with you use somebody else's code, or you had AI write it for yourself and you said, this is my work, then I'm going to have an issue. All right. Obviously, I'm going to have to also understand the AI is not perfect. Right. This happens a lot, especially in this ethical hacking world. A lot of times the students will think the AI is perfect. I ask it to scrape email addresses and it kind of looks like it's doing it, but it's not doing it. And all of a sudden you turn in an assignment and the outcome is wrong, but you thought AI. No, you still got to evaluate what is going on there. Don't assume that the AI is perfect. It's not perfect. It's getting better, but it'll never be perfect. So the students are taking the risk, right? They're taking the risk I explain that to them. If you're going to use AI, you're taking that risk that the content being provided may not be 100% accurate. Let's wrap some things up here. So in this particular video, in this particular syllabus policy, I make it quite clear. The AI becomes a tool. It becomes a tool for you to do other things, maybe to expedite things. write me a program to scrape, right? I don't care that you know how to write Python. Actually, many ethical hackers, many automators don't know how to code. Shame on them. And they will often rely upon this because what they're seeking is some kind of outcome. They're seeking a final answer. And in this particular class, that's completely acceptable as long as they attribute, as long as they're not plagiarizing, as long as they're not telling me it's their particular work. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, there's another video in this series about AI, not to use it. You're not allowed to use it. So with that being said, let's go and learn something.